kind of a run through of maximizing your LinkedIn profile as we had discussed. Again, hold the questions to the end and I'll answer all of them. So Jen gave me a great great background, so I won't repeat what she had said. But essentially, why I'm presenting to you on LinkedIn is because it's maximized my business. I swear LinkedIn does not pay me to say this, wish they did. But what I've done with my LinkedIn has grown substantially and really where I want to help each and every one of you. So actually is when it started as my side hustle, I was working as a technical recruiter, and my story that some of you know, I actually came home from a beautiful 2-week vacation in September of 2019 and was fired from my job. So decided to, okay, let's see where this side hustle goes. And less than 2 years later, it obviously is my full-time job. I have 2 employees underneath me, looking at a third, and that's a substantial amount due to LinkedIn help. So I'm obviously going to give you more tips on how you too can maximize your profile, whether you're running a business, looking for a job, or just looking for connections, because I can tell you firsthand, I did this. I don't pay for marketing. I don't pay, the hundreds of dollars that a lot of places do. I did this all organically, and that's my premise of helping you. And here's some quick tips and best practices and a summary of what each of us are going, or what we're going to go through and really focus on. I could talk about LinkedIn for hours. So if there's something I maybe didn't get to, I do offer one-on-ones and other skill sets if you want a more individualized approach. So basic tips, your profile picture needs to be professional. I can always tell when someone cropped themselves out of like a selfie or a picture with friends. You want it to be professional. Now, here's my cheat way of doing this. From the shoulders up on a plain wall in your house, have a significant other, a friend, a family member, whoever, take it from the shoulders up. It could be in front of the bricks of your house, wherever that is, and it looks just as professional. Some of the best headshots I've seen on LinkedIn were done at home. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars to get a headshot. Now, as far as updating them, I say they should be at a very minimum within the last 5 years. You don't want to go into an interview with your picture 15 years old. I've had a client I met up with in person pre-COVID, and I looked right past her because she looked very different from what her profile picture had. So don't fool people that way. You want a catchy headline. Now, the headline is what's the premise of your profile, which I will give you examples of each of these, so don't worry. So that's for me, I'm a resume writer, a career coach, LinkedIn expert, and everything in between. If you're on Facebook, LinkedIn now has a cover photo edition where you can do an option to explain who you are. Okay, what does Angela offer? What do you go to her for? And that gives readers a good way to know what they're getting into, because that's what your eye is drawn to when you go to someone's LinkedIn. Now, if you're open to work or looking for another job, but you obviously don't want your boss knowing if you're still employed, you can have an option to open your profile to just recruiters only. I am going to get into more of those details, but the recruiters only means those that have that LinkedIn recruiter subscription. I don't have it, so I can't tell you if it's seen, but that would mean someone at your company has to have that LinkedIn recruiter or talent solution subscription that they can see you're open to work. Most don't have it. And when you create your about section, it's going to be about who you are. And again, I'm going to get into great detail of each of these, but this is just a quick run through. Add your experience, add your skills, get some recommendations. Now, this is a snapshot, and you're going to see a lot of screenshots from my profile, so I can give you hands-on examples. I'm a visual learner, so I thought that was best of how we can present this. So when you open my profile, you see at the top, I own the Resume Rescue. I'm a resume writer, a LinkedIn assistant, interview prep, and more. So to me as the reader, I say, oh, wonder what more consists of. But you know firsthand, and it's a nice visual. I found this off of Canva and I just edited it. There's nothing fancy. I am not a graphic designer at all. I use my resources at my hand, and I create these for people as well. I have a nice professional picture of me. It looks, clear background. There's nothing distracting back there. And you can see from my headline, so where you see resume writer, LinkedIn expert, interview prep, career coach, business consultant, and so forth, that's my headline. So you know what you're getting into when you look at my headline. You see Detroit Metro, you see everything like this. But I want to but you notice what we went through for this. Now, this is relevant in your search results. Everyone knows there's a search string on LinkedIn, and when people say, hey, I want a resume writer, I want someone in Detroit metro area, I maybe want someone that's helped transitioning military veterans. I get a ton of business from people searching me on LinkedIn. It's been phenomenal. It's been a huge asset, but that's because I've maximized my headline to have that. If you have, for example, if I just had resume writer at the resume rescue, it's not helping anyone out because it's just saying resume writer. You want to change it if you haven't already, because it automatically starts with your job title and the company you work for, which again, unless someone searches for that specific company, you're not going to come up. It's the people that do their headlines like this that really open the floor. Now, depending where you guys all live, I know you're not necessarily all local still, but Detroit, I always like to do the closest metropolitan area because it encompasses more ground. I live in Royal Oak, so I can have my zip code as Royal Oak, but I do Detroit Metro because it covers more ground there. Again, if you're kind of in your head like, well, I really want something remote, or well, I don't really want to travel really far for work, that's okay. You can say no to job opportunities too, but you want to be able to open the floor and have that at your disposal. You see nicely that I have the resume rescue tagged. Believe me, my branding is very much on here. You'll know what my logo looks like by the end of this, but you can see the university I went to and more highlights on that. Now, the open to work part, you can see this. So right under my headline, you saw this on the last slide. So we're just going underneath. If you see here, you have the option to show recruiters you're open to work. Now, all I did was I clicked get started, and this is what pops up when I do that. You can type in each job title you're looking for. You can do locations, and you fill out the rest of this. It's really easy. And you can say, I only want recruiters only to see this. Again, nobody can see this unless you have the Talent Solutions software. I honestly always kept this on. I don't care if I started a new job or anything. I always kept this option on. I found my second job out of college when I wasn't looking at all, and it's been a huge asset to me. I only just turned it off when I started my own company, but keep this on because you want to be open to options. I mean, if you're not looking, you're happy, but maybe you need more flexibility, or maybe of course, money talks. Of course, you maybe consider leaving a job for an extra 20 grand, but you want to keep this on, move your options, because recruiters can type in their software and say, I only want people open to work. When I worked as a recruiter, I did not want to waste my time with people who weren't open. So I always put the tag on to say only people that are open to work, as in who have this setting turned on. So keep that in mind. If you're running your own business, you can actually write what services you provide. You can hire this way. It's really such an asset here, but this is what the open to work means. If you're active on LinkedIn, you see the open to work green banner on someone's profile picture, that means you're public. So I don't love it. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's as effective. It's a new feature on LinkedIn, but I would prefer people using only LinkedIn Recruiter. Okay, now your about section. So I'm just going through my profile in great detail. So everything's in sequential order. I didn't get out of order here. Obviously, my about section is going to be a little different because I'm running a business. But here's the ideology behind this. You can be, and I say fun, I get it, it's LinkedIn, but you can be a little more fun with it. You can talk in first person. You can say, hey, this is where I started my career. This is what I'm into. This is what I'm looking to connect with on LinkedIn. Mine is strategically made. So when someone reaches my profile, I list all of the different people, recent grads, anyone stuck in their career, transitioning military, you're starting a business, whatever that may be. I say who my ideal client is. I then give my credibility. So, hey, I started as a recruiter. I got into this, my side hustle. Now it's my full-time job. I even list a few companies I've worked for or worked with and recruited because these are big names. I mean, I feel like everyone always wants to work for Amazon or Google or Microsoft or one of the above. And that's where I land a lot of clients that way. It's building my credibility. I then give a call to action. If you guys don't use Calendly, even if you're just looking for a job or running a business, Calendly is a free option and it's just a calendar scheduler. That's it. So if you're a part of a lot of networking groups, which if you're not, I strongly encourage you to be, but it's just a link I send to people. I say, great, book a consultation with me or looking to connect with people. I've seen people use this on their personal calendars or just looking for a way to maximize their opportunities. And it's such an easy tool to use, and it saves me a lot of time in my business. But if you feel comfortable networking with people, great, add this. If not, it's okay. All of this is open too. You also have a featured section. If you don't know you have a featured section, that's okay. But on your profile, you can add a featured section. This is optional. Some of you may not have anything to put in here, but a few options you have. So mine, I'm running a 30-day LinkedIn posting challenge right now. I have branded this to say I do resume critiques, and then even further, I have posts that I've done that have gotten quite a few likes or really good interest on there. But some things you can put for your featured section, any awards, any articles, anything at all. So good example, if you work for an automotive company, we'll say Ford. If you're a part of the 2020, you were a part of the 2020, when was the Bronco released? Whatever, I think it was this year, last year, every year's running together. If you were part of that team that released the Bronco and there was an article written about it, you can feature that on here because you were a part of that team. It doesn't matter if your name's not in it, but you were a part of that team that did that, so you put it on in here. It's great to see. And your featured section is just kind of like sugar on top, or just justifying, hey, here's my credibility. Here's an example of what I do. And it's great for others to look at as well. I do have a link to my website and other options for people as well. Okay, every single person has this. You have a dashboard on your profile. You can look at who's viewed your profile if you have premium. You could see your post views. You could see your search appearances. So if you don't have premium, and that's okay, you do get a month free if you haven't taken advantage of that yet. But when you see who's viewed your profile, if you don't have premium, you can still see someone has looked at it, like it does the incognito mode. But if you have premium, you can see who that person is. I connect with anyone who's open to work and has looked at my profile. Even I get a lot of salespeople telling me they can coach my career and change my life. Yes, that happens, I will admit. But some of those people have turned into clients. So I err on the side of accepting people that connect with me because it's grown my audience and it's been a huge asset to me. Post views. This is from your latest post. It's not, if you've ever seen on LinkedIn, people say like, I have hundreds or millions of post views. That's because they manually calculated it, and God bless if you have the time to do that. But any post views you have, you can see, and I look at this, I try to post on LinkedIn every other day. And I know not many of you will have as much time, but it's been a part of what I do and how this comes up. In search appearances, this is on a weekly basis. So in the last week, I came up in 238 search appearances. I look at these analytics every single week, and I want to say, what did I do great and what did I struggle with? It tracks your success, and it really does hold you accountable. But you could see on mine in December, I took 6 weeks, or 6 weeks, not 6 weeks, 6 days off for the holidays, and my views dipped because I was off social media. You can see when I posted 4 or 5 times a week, they substantially went up and so forth. But the analytics don't lie. I've had people I've worked with who see an increase day of. I've seen people have huge increases the week of, the month after. But when you're consistent with this, make this a part of your everyday of growing your audience and posting. And we're going to get into that more later. Okay, you're probably asking, why is there a weird picture of myself? But these are just an example of some posts I've made. Granted, I'm running a business and it is a little different, but I get a lot of clients because I am very truthful. I'm very honest. I like to have a little bit of fun and a little bit of humor and sarcasm. That's how I operate, and a lot of people like that. So just an example of the plethora of posts I do. And the key with this is honesty. You just need to post. It's going to help with your presence on LinkedIn. It's going to help with everything in between. And there's no way of buttering yourself up to do it. You just have to rip the Band-Aid off and start. So you want to start with saying, just a few examples of ones I've liked or within the last month I've posted. I talked about how I had a mentor who wasn't my best friend or didn't have my best intentions in mind. I made myself into a little meme of what clients think I look like on the end of the phone and what I actually look like. I did a post because I just 3 days in a row, I saw a few people I went to high school with, and every single one of them had said, "You're doing phenomenal on LinkedIn. I see you doing great things." And it's just a social media option. I mean, you want people to see what you're doing. I mean, Angie here has posted or tagged me in Facebook groups and has given me referrals that way. I have a doctor I worked with that she's on her 5th or 6th referral she sent me in another Facebook group. But the reason this is happening is because people see my message. I mean, I have some clients that say, "Oh my gosh, all I see is all of your stuff on my newsfeed." And that's good because I'm always in your head when you need help. And that's what you can do too. It's not so much if you're looking for a job and if you're thinking right now as I present this, like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to alert anyone. Okay, there's ways around that. You could talk about your personal life. It's not meant for Facebook to be like, I did this and I did that, but I always relate them back to business. I talked about my boyfriend and I related it to saying, like, hey, I used to have a boyfriend that was not so great and didn't believe in my dreams. And now I have someone that does. And it really helps you to succeed and go on your path to achieve your goals. I mean, it's all about being human and who you are. I'm not one of those that's like, everything's great and you can quit your job and everything will be sunshine and rainbows, because it's not. I mean, I talk about how difficult it is to run a business. I talk about being stuck inside all the time. I mean, those are you that are parents, you could talk about like struggles with your kids or just like funny things. One of my favorite guys on here, he talks about his coworkers who are his dogs and his kids, and his posts are so relatable and so funny. But the key takeaway from this is just be yourself. Be yourself. And if you ever want to run anything past me, I love it. Again, I offer free consultations and free, you want to just talk my ear off for an hour? Great. I love it. I'm so about it. All about making connections. Now, you can also look at activity. This activity is just a screenshot from my profile, but activity you can see anyone's, if they have it turned on, what they've done. I looked at this every single time I recruited someone. So I want to see, who are you outside of your profile, because you can't be as, as yourself without this. So I like to see, what are you commenting on? What are you liking? What are you posting? And I honestly did take priority over those that posted over those that didn't, because I got a feel for who they are. A lot of us recruiters do different aspects, and this is what you can do. And if you are looking for a job, think of this as a way of building your network and building you to get to the next job. Your newsfeed, your whole newsfeed or homepage on LinkedIn is comprised of all of your connections, what they like, what they comment on, and what they share. So it's not like Facebook or other social media where it's just who you follow or who you're friends with. It's everything interconnected. I comment on people's stuff I don't know. I like people's stuff I don't know. And I give my 2 cents all the time. But usually when I'm doing that, I get a few connection requests out of it. I got to the point where when I connect to someone, I'd say like, "Hey, David, came across your post today. Loved what you loved your message about so-and-so. Looking forward to connecting and reading more of your content." If anyone engages on my post, I always connect with them, say, "Hey, thanks for connecting and engaging on my post. Looking forward to learning more about you." Had someone the other day say, "Oh my gosh, I think you're exactly what I'm looking for. I've been looking for a resume writer." Great, turned into a client. So just be personal. I mean, it's not, you don't have to connect with everyone. I am not saying that, but build your connections and show your worth, because you never know who could be a potential hiring manager or who can really lead you to your next position or business, doesn't matter. Okay, the difference from your experience on your resume to your LinkedIn profile. Your experience is not a copy of your resume, it's a highlight. So good example, if I said, at my last company, if I said generated over $500,000 worth of revenue for the company, great. Something I'm not going to put is called clients daily, helped them write resumes, because you're assuming that because that's in my job title. But when I say tag the companies and click on the correct page, I mean where you're selecting the company on there. So you can see the Resume Rescue. My logo is on my LinkedIn page because I have the Resume Rescue LinkedIn page. I believe that makes sense. But sometimes people, like I just had a guy who worked at GM the other day, and he put GM but didn't tag the company. So in your head, when you're looking at his profile, you think it's a different GM, not General Motors. That's a global organization. And you want to please, please, please make sure the dates align, because you would not believe how many people I work with that their resume says one thing and their LinkedIn says another. That's a huge red flag. Now, what I mean by reflect the dates of promotions at the same company, you can actually, so if I had under the resume rescue and I said, if I moved into like a business operations role or whatever, I can still make sure it's under the resume rescue umbrella, but it has each role and dates and the bullet points accordingly. Don't make it into multiple jobs because it looks like from a quick view that you hop jobs, and that's not the case. You got a promotion. And we can go into further detail after as well. Your education. I want you to take off the years of your degree. I'm a purebred millennial here, and ageism exists for being young and old. I worked in recruiting. I can tell you firsthand, it most certainly does. I've had people say, oh, well, they have X amount of years of experience. They can't teach an old dog new tricks. Or I've had, oh, what do they know? They just graduated college. They don't know anything. So I honestly take the years off of education unless it's recent. I took off my bachelor's degree. That's a personal preference. It's up to you, but I'm just giving you the other way of looking at it. Add in your certifications. If they, I mean, I worked for a company that we had to be ISO certified. There's not a ISO page on LinkedIn, but I still have on my profile that I know that. Take off your high school. High school is a while ago. I'm assuming most of you have either higher certifications, associates, bachelor's, master's, whatever, but you want to take off high school. It's not as prevalent. And again, for education, match your resume. Make sure it's the same exact degree. If I had Bachelor of Arts on my LinkedIn and then I had Bachelor of Science on my resume, that doesn't align. Or if I had IO Psych on my resume, but then Industrial Organizational on my LinkedIn, just make sure they align because it is a red flag because it makes you think, okay, what is this person hiding? A lot of people lie on their resumes, guys. It's crazy. You wouldn't think they do, but a lot of people do. Now, when you add in your skills, so you have this section called skills and endorsements. Stay away from generic ones like detail oriented. I'm a leader. I'm a team player. Everyone says that. Some of the not so great clients I've worked with have said, I'm a people person, I'm a leader, and they were not so kind to me on the first phone call. So that's where any recruiter or hiring manager looks at those. It's like, great, another team player leader. And if you have these on your resume and you're blushing thinking about this right now, it's okay. Most resumes I do, I'm shocked if someone doesn't have them on there. But if you ever want to run things past me, let me know. You have a max of 50 skills. Believe me, I know this will never entail everything you have to offer. I'm not sure why LinkedIn maxed them out at 50, but make sure they're more about what you do. So for example, instead of me saying like, oh, I can write, I'm going to say resume writer, or, oh, I'm a coach. No, I'm a career counselor. I'm a career coach. Or, oh, I help with LinkedIn. Well, I help with LinkedIn, LinkedIn Talent Insights, LinkedIn Recruiter, applicant tracking systems, all of that. Now you also can highlight what your top 3 are. So these are my top 3. It's just kind of a quick reference. I mean, anyone can see if they click the show more option, but these top 3 are going to be, what are your top ones people can go to you for? I change mine all the time because it doesn't have interview prep, doesn't have LinkedIn help. So I flip-flop them just to see how they do well, but you want to get those too. Now, people can endorse you for your skills, and I should have put an option to show you how to do that. But typically, someone goes to your profile, clicks the little plus button next to the skill, and they can say, oh, I want someone, or I endorse them for resume writing. So like Jen, Steve, and Angie here could all endorse each other's skills because they work together. So that's what you can get out of that. And it's just kind of like, hey, I work with this person. I endorse, they actually have what they say on their resume or their LinkedIn. And again, put the skills you like to use. If you, for example, you are let's say you're an accountant. You're an accountant and you do not like the client relations side, or you don't like whatever that may be. Don't put that on there because someone's going to tag you for a job and you're probably going to be miserable in the same type of job. So don't focus on those as much. You could still have them in there if it's, needed. Me, for example, I'm not a huge fan of other social media. I love posting on LinkedIn, but I'm not a fan of like Instagram and Facebook. I still do it all the time, but I'm not going to make that one of my top skills if I was looking for a job, because the social media planning is one of my least favorite parts. Instead, I'd focus on client relations, resume writing, career coaching, and those that I really honestly enjoy. You need to get recommendations too. So they're taking the place of reference checks. Some places do still have reference checks. It's okay. But when I recruited, I mean, it's such a pain to call the reference, make sure they answer. Nobody wants to answer their phones anymore, especially with all the scams going on. And it's just the same way, because if we're going off of your LinkedIn, you're probably going to use the same people to do a reference check. So I'd rather see this. They're recent, they're within the last 6 months. Great. I'll use those. I'll still hire you. These can be, if you're a recent graduate, from professors, fellow students you've worked on projects with, clients, bosses, employees, coworkers, mentors. They don't have to be someone above you. I don't want like your mom and dad and family members doing it, or your best friends. But if you worked on Friends with a project, great. I mean, when I started out, I did a lot of resumes for free, as I had mentioned. So I had those people say, okay, I did it for free. Go write me a recommendation. So that's what you can do as well, but only if it's relevant. And the nice thing is you can review them before they hit your profile. So you'll get a nice message that says, so like I just got one for Harpreet here. She's one of my clients, and it said, Harpreet has wrote you a recommendation, review it before hitting. And then I hit approve for it to be active on my profile. These give so much credibility, you have no idea. Now, some people are not, I mean, I should have taken a screenshot of some of the short ones. I've had like, great work, 10 out of 10. It's like, okay, really, you can give me a little more, which is fine. But these ones were both excellent ones I received recently, and that's what you want to get. And it doesn't take long to write, guys. It takes maybe 30 seconds if you sit down and do it, but this is a great example. And Jeff here actually changed his profile, as you saw, of his headline. So his sales and marketing executive, everything like that. This is an example of what he changed it to, because it used to just say VP of sales and nothing else. And that's all I have for you. I mean, I want to open the floor for more questions. If you don't feel comfortable asking questions, you could put them in the chat, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn and follow me for more insights. And just want to open the floor to all of you.
I have a question.
Yes.
How would you do like a resume for someone that's applying for like higher education, like moving on in their education? Would you make it more like educational focused or career focused?
So are you saying for a job you're looking for, or if you're going
No,
to?
like I'm applying to law school. So
Oh, awesome. Okay.
yeah.
So what they want in law school, typically it's a mix of the two. So I typically like to do an overview, do key accomplishments, and then focus on what you can offer. So when they ask resumes like that, it's more so saying, okay, you have the right degrees needed, and you have maybe some experience depending. So I would honestly do a mix of both, because you're looking to advance your career or advance your education, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Angela, I can share some of the questions that were shared
Sure.
when they signed up. Someone asked, how can I maximize my exposure to recruiters for graduation?
You want to start reaching out now. So the big thing with this is you want to start now, not when you're looking. So what you can do to maximize your reach is make sure you have recommendations on your profile, make sure your resume is in order. I would say at least 6 months out, which if you're not at 6 months right now, it's okay. But at that 6-month mark prior to graduation, you should be really activating. If you graduate in May or in the next few months, that's okay. But start reaching out to people and connecting. One of the best power moves you can do is when you interview or when you reach out to someone, keep them updated. If you say, hey, I just interviewed here, or, oh, thanks for taking the time there. And change your method. So when people say like, oh, how are you doing? What is your go-to? Oh, I'm okay, I'm fine. Instead say, oh, I'm actually graduating soon. I'm looking for a job. And that leads to further questions of saying, oh, what are you looking for? How can I help you out? The power of networking, both virtual, in person, on LinkedIn, is huge. But for recent graduates, I mean, I know most of you are thrown just, hey, have a LinkedIn. What are you doing? And I love that you guys are having someone like me and doing all these career series, because I wish every other college would do that. But make sure you're aligning your resources and don't stack cards against you. Connect with people, reach out, see where your resources are.
Thank you. Another question, how often should I post and what should I post? Is it bad to not post? I think you sort of covered it a little bit.
What's comfortable for you? So when I started, I'm a big calendar gal, love my calendar to pieces. I would put on my calendar, my goal was 3 times a week. I would say, if you want to get started, I want to do baby steps. If you don't post right now, do it once a week, then move to twice a week, then move to 3 times a week. But you have to stay consistent. You can't post one day and then post 2 months later. It's gaining momentum with it. And you could post anything. I mean, I could go through my whole posting schedule. If you connect with me, you would see that, but not to bore all of you. What you're posting about is, for example, if you're a recent graduate, post about graduating and how that's scary, how maybe some lessons you've learned in college, maybe a phenomenal professor. I mean, I still think about the few professors that changed my life. You could post about being on this seminar. You could post about just about everything under the sun. I'm now at the point where I think of something and I'm like, oh, that'd be a great post. But the difference between LinkedIn and Facebook is you're bringing it back to be professional. I've even posted about jumping on a trampoline with my best friend's kid. And I said, oh, I should be working today. I'm behind, but the half hour jumping on a trampoline and acting like a kid again was really worth it. I mean, I could go on with even more examples, but if you struggle with them, send me a message or email and I'd be happy to give you just a quick run through or plan out your week with you, because it is tough to do at first, but you just have to rip the Band-Aid off and do it. And I promise you'll see the results.
Before I mention some of the other questions, I just want to remind everyone, if you have a question, feel free to speak up, or you can also use the chat and type your question in there. Are there any business pages or groups I should become a part of, even if outside of LinkedIn, to maximize my employment opportunities or spectrum after graduation?
Few options with that. You want to join your alumni groups first and foremost, because you have that alumni advantage to you. There are different career searching groups depending on what you're looking for. But for example, you can type in automotive groups. And when you search in the search bar, you can see if you want specific groups, people, whatever you want. So you can find those groups that way, but put them at your advantage. As far as, there's not really specific groups. I mean, there are, but it's not like a perfect one I recommend that, hey, this is a great one, because not everyone always checks the groups, but make sure you're on your alumni page on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and others at your disposal. Keep attending events like this. That will really help you. Networking events locally. I mean, a lot of people are doing free events right now, and you definitely should take advantage of that. So change your story, make sure those are the best options, and follow the companies you apply to. So say you're applying to General Motors. I've done a lot of automotive resumes today, if you couldn't tell, but say you're applying to General Motors, follow their company page on LinkedIn, because you're going to get job updates. You're going to see when they post about winning different contracts, new vehicles coming out. And that's leverage you can use it in an interview. Connect with recruiters, but making sure you're aligning your best resources up in your favor.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I actually have two. So I just started my own business a few months ago, and I definitely thrive more on like Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
So, but my company is consultations for wellness and culture building, like team building for corporations.
Love that.
So yeah, thanks. So it's definitely something that needs to exist on LinkedIn. And however, I have way more of a following, I guess.
Yeah.
I have more people that are connected with my private page than with my company page. So should I be posting more on my private page than on my company page? Or should I should I post on my company page and then share on my personal?
Great question. So your personal page is going to be more about you. Why are you the expert? Why did you get into this business? Why are you passionate about what you do? I mean, wow, do you have a lot to talk about, especially in the last year? So I love that. Love what you're doing. Your company page is going to be more about your services you offer, your expertise. I actually did a lot of research before starting my own business of people that have their personal page versus their company page. And every single time their personal page does better. So I do post, like I posted about this event tonight on my personal page, but you don't want to regurgitate what you posted on one page onto the other. They're going to be two separate entities. So like your Instagram makes sense to have it all streamlined there. That's fine. But your LinkedIn does well more on your personal page as well, of just like who you are, what you do. And it's more like the human side of you, I like to say. So it's all of that. And that's the big difference. So great question. I'm very excited for you, but you especially, Sarah, should get on a posting schedule of just saying like, hey, I want to spend maybe like 10 extra minutes a day on LinkedIn. Or instead, like my bad habit was waking up and going on Facebook and Instagram and just scrolling, not for business purposes, for personal purposes. So I reprogram my thoughts to say, okay, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to relax, and I'm going to go on LinkedIn for the first 20 minutes of every day. And now I even do that for business development and networking. Just that 20 minutes a day makes a big difference. And you want to really build your audience there because that's huge. And you want to get to the point where people say, oh, this organization needs someone. Great. I know Sarah who does that. So I love what you're doing. And you could see, and I have a few people I recommend you to follow if you want to message me offline that are very like in the culture space or diversity and inclusion. So let me know. And I have like a whole world of people I follow that could give you some ideas.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I'll reach
Sure.
out. And I have one more question.
Yeah.
Do you find that photos work better with like a caption, or that just like writing works better, or like what kind of content do you think works better?
Both works. So pictures are more grabbing your attention, but they don't do as well if like when I post my services or like a picture of a resume, doesn't do as well. But when I've done like that meme I created of myself, did awesome because I made fun of myself. But the ones that it's kind of a mix of both. I try to do both. I've even ventured into video recently, which those do pretty well, but that's a whole nother ball game. We're going to start baby steps here. So I would mix it up. You don't want to do all pictures of the week, and you don't want to do all just kind of text for the week. But the ones that I do not think of, don't overthink this, because when I'm like, this post is going to do great, it's going to get a lot of likes. Never. It's the ones I sat at my desk. I'm like, I'm going to randomly post about how I was underpaid out of college. That was years ago. I don't even know where it came from. And it's still getting likes. And this was like, I think a month and a half ago. And it's just like, oh, glad I didn't plan that. And that does well. So don't overthink it. I mean, just keep posting and stay consistent with what you're doing. But great questions.
Thank you.
Sure.
Someone asked, is LinkedIn entirely free? And I don't know if you know who started LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn is free, completely free site. It is Jeff Weiner started LinkedIn. I'm not sure. I forget. They have a new CEO now, just I believe in 2017, 2018, but it's a completely free site. It's just like Facebook. If you want the premium option, that's to see who's looked at your profile, get more insights into jobs. That's when you pay for the LinkedIn Talent Solutions, which would be more applicable to like Sarah when she's hiring people. That's another subscription, but it's completely free. It'll try to get you to sign up for premium. I think it's only $30 a month, which isn't too bad to see into it. And you do get a month free. So take advantage of the month free. And they are very good about emailing you and saying, hey, we're going to charge you tomorrow. So either cancel it or don't cancel it. But here's my thing. I don't feel you should pay for LinkedIn unless you're running a business and you're at that point where you're using LinkedIn all the time. And I don't feel you need to pay for LinkedIn to look for a job unless you've exhausted your resources. Everything I told you today is completely free. You can post for free. You can connect for free. You could do all of this. If you did everything I said and you're still struggling, then I would recommend premium. But honestly, I'm all about best bang for your buck, and I wouldn't pull the trigger on it unless you did everything else. But great question too.
Does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask or message to the group or? Oh, go ahead, Jen. Someone did ask they just wanted networking tips. So it was kind of a general question, but if you have some networking tips to share.
So say someone liked my post, I send a message and I say, like I'll say Sarah. I'd say, hey, Sarah, thanks for connecting. Loved your post about your business. It's so needed in this climate. I'm looking forward to reading more about your content. So if it's about someone's post I see, I do that. If I'm trying to connect with a recruiter or individual, you have to figure a commonality here. If you guys are Rochester alum, you can search on there all fellow alum. So if you see on here, oh, there's people I want that went to Rochester College that work at this company, those are the ones to connect with. I can show you, do we want to see some examples of networking? Okay, so let's see, hold on, let me, I got all night, guys, so you ever want anything, I'm here, but okay, let's do, hold on, let me pull up another tab. Okay. So these ones are, this is just kind of my aspects of how I do best on connecting on LinkedIn. So if it wants to load, apparently, but there's a few options of how I do it. So say, for example, I'm just going to use GM again, because why not? So if I'm looking for a job, so if I look for General Motors, if I could spell, and I see they have 2.5 million followers and they have 127,000 employees that work at GM. So I click on that. Now, I will tell you, if you don't have your LinkedIn filled out or it doesn't look like a profile that has over a certain amount of connections, it's not going to allow you to do this. I'm just warning you, but that's where we're building our connections. So if you go up here and you have all filters option, and you can filter by people in Michigan, you could filter by people that work at GM, and you can say maybe people that went to Rochester. Let's see if it will show up. Is it just Rochester? Is it Rochester College, Rochester University? Are you guys have a LinkedIn page? Do you know?
University.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
It is university.
university. Yeah,
I don't know why I keep saying college. Sorry.
It was.
we were.
Oh,
we
so I'm
just
not crazy?
transitioned.
That's good.
Yes.
Is this one your page?
Yep.
So these are all people at GM currently that went to Rochester College. So now I'm down to 48 of the, what was it, 128,000 people, it got down to 48. If you wanted to filter it further, you can even say at the previous company you worked at. So these are the people, like if you said that used to work at the previous company you were at, but I don't want to filter it too much and they go away. And it's going to recommend you the ones at the top are the ones you have the most common connections with. So you can see Catherine is more active on LinkedIn. We have 15 connections. If I'm going through this, okay, I got a lot with Kristen. I can see who our common connections are. So if I go, we'll just take Brandy, for example. If I say, okay, who of Brandy and mine's common connections can I see? Okay, I know Sam. Well, I know Jay too. I could message Jay and say, hey, Jay, like, hope you're doing well. Can you make me, do you know Brandy here? I'm trying to make a connection. Can you make an introduction for us? Best way to do that. If you don't have a connection, you can use your alumni to your advantage. I mean, I get people that message me and say, oh, you're a Penn State grad as well. So am I. I know you're probably busy, but I was wondering if you had a few minutes to help me with this. Great, would love to. But the people that aren't successful with networking are the ones that say, that give homework. This is what I call it. So if Jen, I'll just use you. If Jen reaches out to me, I don't know her, and she's like, hey, thanks for connecting. Can you look at my resume? Okay, well, you just want free services and you had made no common connection. If she reached out and said, hey, Angela, hope you're staying safe and healthy. I just saw your post about your post about how graduating college is tough. I'm in that spot right now. It really spoke to me. I know you're probably busy, but I was wondering if you had a few minutes to maybe give me some pointers on my resume. I'm just really struggling right now. I'm more likely to help her because she made some connection. She said, I saw your post. I saw where you went to college. I saw this. I've been following you for a while. But you don't want to give people homework that don't know you. I mean, that's like someone walking up to you in the street and being like, hi, look at my resume. It's like, no, I don't know you. Don't do that. So you have to think like that. So yes. I think there was one more I just saw popped up. Where was my chat? Can you guys see the question that was asked?
I think it says, can Can you talk about the ATS systems and any quick tips regarding adding your resume to LinkedIn?
Okay. For whatever reason, there's terrible information about applicant tracking systems. It is not a robot. Gasps all around. What an applicant tracking system is it's kind of like a virtual assistant. So when you recruit, you have skill tags you put on jobs. So say, for example, I just hired a resume writer. My skill tags would be bachelor's degree in communication. They'd be resume writer. I prefer someone maybe with automotive experience, and I prefer someone in the Metro Detroit area. So as these applicants come in, it's going to highlight for me and say, hey, look, this applicant has your bachelor's, the automotive experience, and everything else locally. So that's where it's helping me. It's not not automatically deleting your resume. So I don't know why there's like Forbes has written bad articles about it, and I love Forbes. All these organizations have written terrible articles and false information about what an applicant tracking system is. So when you're reading through jobs, which I'll go through the jobs tab because why not, guys? We're right here. So if I'm looking for a job, I'll use one that's going to recommend for me. So a technical recruiter at Ford. When I'm looking at this job and you want to change your resume per job you're applying to, I'm not saying spend hours, but you want to pull up information from the job. Technically, I could be a technical recruiter, a sourcer. What else can I be? Just a regular recruiter, talent acquisition professional. There's a lot of synonyms that mean the same job, just used differently. So if I'm looking for this job, I would say more of, okay, maybe I don't put like, I help people find jobs, but I would put full life cycle recruitment, because that's just saying like, hey, you recruit people from start to offer. Every recruiter does that. So I'm going to change it. Instead of make offers, I do full life cycle recruitment. Or 3 years of experience for tech talent. Instead of saying IT and other industries, I'm going to say tech talent there. So I'm taking what this job description has and just tweaking a little bit. It's not hours worth of work, less than 10 minutes per job. And that's what's going to help you. I mean, these big things, like you don't have to put, I have good communication skills and I'm a curious individual. It's like, what does that even mean? First of all, a curious intellectual curiosity and comfort with ambiguity here, but you don't have to put the soft skills, I call them, but you want to put, you have full life cycle recruitment and stuff like that. So great question. Believe me, don't read everything you have out there. It's not a robot of an ATS. Okay. I'm passionate about what I do, guys. Can you tell? I talk a lot.
We are so thankful that you joined us tonight and you could launch our Warrior Link series. I'll do a final call for any more questions. We're getting to the end of our time, so we want to be mindful of that. But if anybody else has questions, comments, kudos, feel free to jump in here. I'll do a brief pause.
And I'll
Silence.
say after too, if anyone doesn't feel comfortable like announcing to the class, I'd be happy to give some examples, or like Sarah, if you want to see my business page difference, I mean, whatever you guys want to see, I'm free all night. So let me know.
We're so appreciative. If you enjoyed this event, I will, while you're thinking maybe of questions, we do have another event coming up. Our next Warrior Link series is a networking event, virtual networking event with our alum, Alex Drake, who also works for the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce. And so we will do some virtual networking and some speed networking, and you'll get to make those connections that hopefully you can use what you learned tonight to broaden your base a little. So stay tuned for that. That's April 13th. You will find more information on our website. It's rochesteru.edu/warriorlink. In a few days, we'll email out everyone the recording of this event. So then you can have all of Angela's information, her contact information, and you can reach out directly to her. Obviously, you can find her on LinkedIn as well. So final call for questions. Let me just check my chat. I saw somebody. Oh, Sarah, thank you. Our active participant tonight. I love it. Anybody else have questions, comments that you want to make? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It was so good to engage with all of you. Stay tuned. We are launching a new platform that you'll see in the next couple weeks, RU Connect. So you'll learn more information about our upcoming events and what's going on at RU. So everyone have a great night. Have a great weekend. It's supposed to be nice out, so enjoy.
Thanks,
Hey,
guys.
Not a
Bye.
question, but
Oh,
just a
sorry.
comment. Angela, thanks so much. This is fantastic. So
Thank you.
really, really thank you. Have a great night.